Hey, Adrian, so you know, this isn't our regular meeting link. This is the DaaS Workshop this week.
Oh, beautiful. Well, enjoy.
It got screwed up because of daylight saving. Next week, we'll be back to normal.
Amazing. Okay. Talk soon.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, I just wanted to save you some time.
All right. Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right, bye. Good afternoon, everybody. We will get right into it in a second. Just got a couple more people admitting here in the waiting room. Get my beverage before I get going. Yeah, so hopefully people didn't get confused at the time today. Daylight savings. Normally, my weekly DaaS sales workshops are at 3 p.m. Eastern. And with the daylight savings time, our kind of central core schedule got screwed up on some of the events. So um, at least the notification still populated right, and it gave everybody the update that it was going to be 4 p.m. Eastern today. So it shouldn't be too screwy. But next week we'll be back to normal, 3 p.m. Eastern, and all the notifications will be right as well. Just screwed me up a little today when I realized that I was prepping for this about 2 hours before I needed to. But all good, all good. Better to be
Who the
ready
hell thought
early
about
than
being prepared in advance?
see. Yeah, I almost planned it that way. Would have sounded better, but I'm not a liar. Too honest of a salesperson. So that's why I like to teach sales. I do it honestly. See, I can't even lie to you guys here. So guys, yeah, let's dive right into it. Looks like we have nobody else sitting in the waiting room. We'll kind of kick right into it. So obviously, this is the DaaS Sales Workshop. So just a couple of quick updates. You know, my intro to these will be a little shorter. If you guys have been on a lot of these, I kind of had to specify who these were for and what these are more applicable for. But some of you guys may or may not know it doesn't affect anybody on this particular call, but we have two separate school communities and they used to all have access to all of the workshops. Now only the paying clients get access to a lot of the workshops, and there's only a select few available for the free clients. So that lets me be able to teach a little better because we're getting a lot of questions from people that just aren't following along or not even into the software yet, which just really wasn't beneficial for our paying members. So going forward, we have workshops that are for everybody and workshops that are just for paying members that have access to the software, etc. So now the really only two different tiers of people in here are kind of incubator or DaaS clients, and a majority of incubator are probably using that as a stepping stone to get into DaaS. I would say the only clients that these calls may not be beneficial on your time if you're just an incubator user and just using it for yourself and just looking for audience building and more tech support. That's not what I do. This is a DaaS sales workshop where we cover the messaging, sales, and everything that goes with that. So I just like to specify at the beginning of the call so everybody kind of knows what I cover, what to expect. And I don't like people attending a workshop if like it's not applicable to where they're at or their program. If they're like, hey, I just want help with the audience building, like that's not what we're going to be doing on this call. Please go to the office hours workshops, hit up one of our guys, right? We have team members and workshops specifically for that. Cool. So I just wanted to start there. And in terms of what I do on all of these calls each week, again, for some of you guys, this is redundant, but we always have new clients coming in each week into any of our programs. So in case you haven't already seen this, I'm going to be sharing a couple things with you guys today, specifically who attends these calls. One or two of these resources is also in our school community, but I do give extra stuff and kind of special little resources sometimes just to the attendees. So it does kind of pay to show up. You'll get some little extra bonuses that you might not get just in the school community. But this is something that I put together and I want all of our clients to have. And whether it's now, next week, next month, whenever you're really building out the reseller aspect. So this should be really relevant for all the DaaS clients pretty quickly. An incubator, maybe you're just working with one client or trying out the data for yourself, and then you're going to go into selling it, a couple weeks down the road. But this document is all the best resources you need to build out your sales process to close big data deals, right? So there's one new thing I literally just added to this today because I got asked this in DM at least by 5 people in school. Hey, Ray, in your sales resources, I'd love to see some of your live call recordings and how you navigate calls and yada, yada, yada. So number 8 was never in here before, guys. I'm going to run through all these really quick. But number 8, I just added in here. So again, if you had this before and you refresh it, that should be on your document now. And I'm going to drop this in the chat for everybody else in a minute. But again, just 8 quick links here. Number 1 is a tutorial going over how to build out your whole sales process, game plan, timeline, expectations, what's included. Number 2 here is a quick little tutorial of me expounding upon that document and just going a little more in depth. Number 3 shows some of the creative that we use, ads, messaging, email, copy, right? And just so you guys can see some examples. Number 4 and 5 on my screen are the 2 scripts that we use for our sales process. Again, guys, to resell this from what I've seen with well over 1,000 data deals closed is on average, again, there's always outliers, but on average, we see about a 2-call, 5 business day sales process when you build it out this way, sales cycle, I should say, with this process. That's what we see on average. So number 4 and 5 are the scripts I would use for the initial call, the 15 to 20-minute triage call. And then number 5, the script I would use for the actual demo or sales call. Number 6 is the pitch deck that we provide you guys with case studies and just showing, how we can get an ROI and how the system works. Number 7 is a YouTube video that some people asked for. That was the last one. When I first did this, I only had 6 resources. And as you guys kind of ask for things and it makes sense, I'm happy to create them or add them here. But somebody asked for a little more in-depth going into pricing, pixel pricing, tools, strategies, pixel calculator, all that stuff is within number 7. And then number 8, I just covered and got added here today, is just some of my call recordings so you guys can just see. What I always like to get across with sales, it's just like I'm doing now, other than the fact that it's not back and forth, but I'm just having a conversation. I'm not reading a script. I'm not coming off you, with a primary objective of just collecting money at the end of the call. That's what you go into a sales call thinking. You're always going to get resistance and objection, guys. You got to go in thinking, how can I help this prospect make a decision and hold them accountable that he's gonna come back and thank me for 30, 60, 90 days down the road. So you have an honest conversation, a relatable conversation. And then if you really see that, hey, if you have my data, my product, my offer, whatever it is, you can get X result, then why wouldn't we move forward today, Chuck? Right? You just told me if you have this, you could achieve that. You told me that result was important to you. So now when I laid out the price, you said you need to think about it. What do you really need to think about? Right? And you can just have a conversation with people, hold them accountable. One of my big mottos in sales, and you guys might have heard me say this repeatedly, is I always say telling isn't selling. Anything I want to say as a sales rep to get this guy to buy into my product, I always think, and this is what I do in my framework, and when you walk through it, you'll see how that works. How can I ask him the question to make him say that he needs my product? Rather than me say, hey, Rob, you need Audience Lab. If I can get you to say, Ray, I definitely need Audience Lab to get my lower cost per lead. Which one is more powerful, right? Much more powerful when it comes out of the prospect's mouth. And I always go into a sales call also with no expectation of outcome. Right? I just want to go in there and help make the decision that's in the best interest of the prospect. Meaning, when I train my reps, we are, very, I like to say, ethical and integral in the way we operate in sales. And if it doesn't happen, I like to find out about it and go, talk to my rep, remove my rep, replace them. What I mean by that is I don't want my reps to even be making offers to people that aren't a good fit to get results with my product, my offer. If we're not the best person to help them, or they're not a good fit, their problem and our solution don't really align 100%. There's better solutions, there's better products. Refer him out. Don't make an offer. It's really that simple. But when you build out your process, what I showed you guys here, you should be getting the right people that actually get through to the call, especially the second call. The right people should get to the first call a high percentage of the time. That's where we can really weed them out on a triage. If they're not a good fit, then we don't go through with a full demo and sales call and waste our time. But that's not going to be happening if you do this process right. You're only going to get the sales call with the right type of people. So you're rarely going to happen where, they're not a good fit, right? Their problem doesn't align with your solution, so on and so forth. So I just wanted to recap that really quickly because I think those are kind of important talking points that people overlook. But when I do my sales calls, I literally just have a conversation. If you guys go through these, there's one that's near the top. It was really, I remember putting in the notes to show my team. I was like, one of the most fun I've had on a sales call in a while. I just got on, I believe the guy's name was Ray Jefferson, if I'm not mistaken. And we just got on, I think he was in New York, and I vibed with his sweatshirt. We were talking about shooting the shit about what he does on the side. And it was just a friendly conversation. And then when I got to the end and I'm like, hey, this is what you need. He's like, okay, let me go through the video and then I'm ready to move on with you guys. Let's move forward. Right. And it was just it was pretty seamless. And you'll see that in a few of mine. But, and again, that doesn't happen overnight. And when you first start getting into, taking sales calls yourself, taking sales calls and other offers, whenever we're doing sales, at first you really have to get competent and kind of proficient with kind of staying within the structure of a sales call. But even within a structure, that does not mean scripted. Those are totally different. Structure just means I'm kind of going through in the right order. If you're to do the pitch before you do the discovery phase, I don't care how relational you are and how scripted or unscripted you are, there's still a structure and a flow that a sales call has to go through, right? You can't start with the pitch and then get into, or you can't start with the objections, and all those things. So there's still a structure and a framework. And I'm going to talk a little more about that as we go. So guys, let me go drop this for anybody that hasn't seen this again into the chat right here for everybody. And then I'm going to go on to a couple other resources I want to share with you guys. And then see if we have any questions or anything specifically, anybody wants me to cover. I'll make sure there's time for you guys to get with me here too. The other thing I just created and dropped last week, and I got asked on last week's session for this particular resource. So I went and made it for you guys. And basically, what a few clients were asking, specifically when you're in DaaS, and I'm going to run through this so this makes a lot of sense. It's going to look confusing, but they asked me for a checklist of what I do on rinse and repeat to get clients. So I went back through our process and looked back through all of our campaigns and everything we do and everything we do internally and all of our SOPs. And on rinse and repeat, this is what we do every time we launch a new offer, new campaign, new vertical, new product. It all comes back to these. Now, there will be certain ones of the 18 or 19 things that aren't applicable to everybody, right? But I'm going to run through this really quick. And I think this checklist, I dropped it in the chat last week and I've just updated today. When I said I was early and I was prepping, I was actually creating more resources. So that last document, I added something. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So all these things in parentheses where you see either like PDF or Google Doc, those were all added in today as well. So although I dropped the checklist last week, I've added some more education in each of those areas specifically, and just quick resources. But basically, when you come into the program,
add the checklist today. Can we get a copy of that?
Yeah, I'm going to drop in the chat just like I did. It's also posted in school, but yeah, I'll make sure you guys have it. I just like to talk about everything before I drop so it makes sense. But yeah, 100% Rob. So anyway, number 1, right? Start here. That's our Audience Lab Start Guide, which everybody should receive upon onboarding. If you got onboarded months and months ago before we had that in the onboarding process, it may have got overlooked. So here it is in the doc. It probably should have been sent at some point. But that's just kind of a baseline guide that Adam put together that helps you best navigate the whole process. I want everybody, when they come into the program, or if they haven't seen that, start there, go over that, make sure that all makes sense, and it walks you through, extra support avenues and things, just to be clear. But basically, once we come in, we're going to choose a Trojan horse, right? So when you come into DaaS, you get access to the DaaS launch book. And as I cover in the THO exercise video, we usually start with, on that document, I have a little THO template. And we usually start with what I like to call the low-hanging fruit, or where we get quick wins. Super pixel, in-market audiences, sometimes enrichments, things like that. Trojan Horse 1, 2, or a combination of 1 and 2 to make up Trojan Horse 3 when you guys go through the document. So which one are we starting with? You guys should really dive into one or more. Hey, I want to really focus on pixel and audiences, which are the most two prevalent. Hey, I just really want to focus on a lot more pixels. Hey, I want to focus on more audiences. I want to focus on custom niche, in-market audiences, like, whatever we're really going to be providing. And then the second, or number 3, I should say, below that, we want to obviously dive into a niche and a vertical. Why does that keep popping up in my way every time? Thank you. Identify a specific target vertical, right? So I try to go through this on the Trojan Horse offer call with all my DaaS clients. If you guys don't have specific verticals picked out yet, if you're still like kind of in the air, I don't know where to go, I give you some examples of where I've seen the data perform best, where I know a majority of our clients are utilizing data in certain industries. I go through the different ways I would go pick a new niche if I was starting in your shoes, and give you guys some example. But normally we have one, right? We're in mortgage, real estate, home services, whatever. Then we want to start diving into writing the ads, email, copy, et cetera, et cetera. And I gave an example of some of ours, right? Then we want to sub-brand that to the specific vertical, meaning when I write copy, I'm going to speak a little different to roofers than I am to doctors, right? So make sure that our content is more in the verbiage that your particular market and industry speaks. Make sure you know their lingo, how they talk. Is it more professional, more laid back, very articulate, whatever. So how we can make that more relevant. And we would go and create ad scripts and emails, again, where applicable. We might not all be running ads off the bat. We might be working with and pulling lists for clients running ads, but that doesn't mean we're necessarily doing that ourselves, right? This is more about what you're doing yourselves to get clients. So if you're not running ads, some of these might not be applicable. We all tell you guys, and I'm sure this is why you take this to a lot of your clients. The data, generally speaking, does perform best in ads. It also performs in other areas. It doesn't not perform in email or SMS, but ads are probably where you're going to see the quickest and best results using the data. So if you have a budget or you're running ad campaigns, make sure you are using that. If that doesn't apply to you, you're still going to be running out scripts, right? You're going to be blasting out emails or SMS, or maybe you're running social media campaigns, but you're still going to have messaging and marketing. So it doesn't always have to be ads, right? And then we would start to create a VSL. And guys, the creative framework that we use, if anybody doesn't know some of our acronyms, it goes back to one of our brands and companies that I still run and teach and have clients in, called PDocs. But number 7, or I should say row 7 on my screen, it talks about the eco creative. So eco, what does that stand for? Engage, assess, assign, call to action, and obligation. And again, I created the PDF eco framework to walk you through exactly what that means. But basically every conversation we have with a prospect, whether we do it all automated through ads and funnels, whether we do the initial step just to get engagement, and then maybe we take it to a personal conversation, maybe we're doing all organic outreach, and conversations after the email, doesn't really matter. It still goes through this. Whatever is the initial step, we got to get engagement. We got to get someone to raise their hand and say, yeah, I'm interested in hearing more about X, Y, and Z, right? So that could be engagement, right? With an ad, with a post, with a story, with an email, with a LinkedIn message, right? Whatever it is, what's going to create the engagement? And that first opener, same with your ad, I would call that kind of the lead into your ad. That's going to be really crucial to test early on in new campaigns and new offers. Is this messaging actually relating? Is it getting opens? Is it getting responses? Or although I thought it was great and clever and it was going to crush, I'm not getting any positive replies. Let the data make your decisions when you're looking into your creative, and test things, right? Don't be afraid to fail with a campaign. What's the famous phrase about Thomas Edison? Took him 1,000 times to figure out how to create a light bulb. But everyone said, he failed 999 times, and he always said, no, I figured out 999 ways not to make a light bulb. Just shows you, hey, that's the wrong one, right? I got to go on and try something else. Now, we're not going to fail 999 times with copy before we hit. I'm sure of it, because I've done it in so many offers. But that's the same thought process. You're still learning in the process and learning what not to do or what's not working. So it's very, very, very relevant. Hold on, I think we might have had somebody else I left in the way. Okay, cool. So creative and understanding eco, and then the PDF is there to break that down. Number 8, get very proficient with building audiences. So right when you come into the program, you're going to start to understand and become competent. Well, the more and more proficient we can be. And Rob, you've been in the program for a while. I'm sure you can kind of attest to this, like how you were building audiences your first couple of weeks into the program, as opposed to how you'd be doing it now, or even, from the first 3 weeks to the first 3 months, and how you did it. And how much has that made a difference for you, just really quickly?
Oh, night and day. Before I was just really hesitant, wasn't really sure kind of how I was going to do it. Now I can literally just kind of fly through, and I'm finding new ways to do it all the time, right? With just nuances. Yeah. Certain markets perform better in certain spaces.
Yeah, and that's why it's great to have a lot of great users like you guys. Sometimes you guys are finding out new things all the time too, and telling us like, "Hey, did you know you could do this?" Right? And Rob,
and it's been almost 3 years, Ray. Just so you know.
Yeah, exactly. I knew you've been around quite a while. You've seen every iteration and level of the platform. Great, but that's my point, guys. Like, get very proficient at building audience. Very similar to like Facebook ad agencies. When I first started that, and when I first jumped in this space and just threw my first agency offer out there in late 2017, early 2018, you could literally just be competent and get results. I literally took like a $297 Billy Jean marketing Facebook ads course, went and landed a couple, a personal like chiropractor, pediatric, couple little local doctors, ran ads and got results. Like, it was pretty easy. You can't just be competent and go run ads nowadays and get results. Like, you got to be very good with the creative. You got to be very good with targeting. Luckily, we have data, but right now without data, most people in Facebook are just kind of ticking that box and saying, let Facebook find my ideal audience if they're not using some type of data plugin. And then a lot of your money's going into a testing phase, and Facebook's trying to figure it out. And there's all these nuances. You can't target the same way in most ad platforms you could back then. And again, the market sophistication and how much more the market's evolved in the last handful of years makes all the difference. So Same with audience building, guys. Get more proficient, attend office hours, go through a couple of the tutorials in school. Right within school, in classroom, there's one that's audience building. There's one more advanced custom audiences. There's one how to test your audiences. Just make sure you're going through and you have a very good understanding of those, because that's going to be really, really relevant in you getting results. When we start taking this to clients, and what I was just speaking to with Rob a little, if we're just competent with our list, we kind of have a half-assed list of their ideal audience. When we embed it into their campaigns, we might not see much better results. We might see, there's been times we embed data when it sucks and we'll get worse results because we didn't build the right list. But when you get really good, you know how to build the list ideally for that particular audience, that offer, that price point, it's going to work 9 times out of 10. So that's why I kind of highlight that. Number 9 is more for you guys running ads to get clients for your own agencies, I would say, is where you want to get more familiar with the B2B2C targeting for ad platforms, ad campaigns. And again, that's why it says in parentheses, if applicable. So for like these examples, you'll just see if I fall over from row 9, this guy, example 1 is running ads. This guy isn't. That's why there's different things checked throughout the examples. Not applicable. I'm not running ads, so I don't really need to focus on that. Or some of these guys are just reminding themselves, hey, I haven't done that yet. So that's when I send this to you guys, you can make your own checklist and just give yourself reminders. Have I done that yet? Is it not applicable? And so on and so forth. The more of this you have done, the more it'll just be a streamlined rinse and repeat process. And again, not everything is going to be applicable to everybody. So don't think you all have 19 tasks to do. And some of these just say like 19, get paid and fulfill. Like that's not anything outside of what we're already talking about here. Like a lot of these aren't difficult. Number 10, which I recommend everybody be doing, whether you're running ads or not, but we should be launching email campaigns in conjunction with ad campaigns. Or maybe some of us don't have an ad budget yet. We're running email campaigns to land our first handful of clients and then take some of that profit and go invest it into ads rather than doing it out of pocket. Maybe some of us just aren't in a place to do that. That's another great way to look at it, right? Whatever we're doing, we're going to then start to generate leads, whether email, whether ads, whether a combination of the two, whether, other avenues. I'm not going to talk about all the different avenues of marketing. That's not anything new. We're going to generate leads. What we've seen work the best with a majority of clients, especially in the ads, is getting started with lead forms, collecting data and seeing results. Am I saying stay with that forever? No, but to get started, we've seen in the most amount of campaigns internally as well with clients, lead forms are the way to go to get started, get results. And then you might evolve into more of an application form type of product, whatever that may be. And again, that's going to vary a little bit depending on price point and market, etc. What do we want to do after we generate leads? We want to generate appointments, obviously. Number 12, I'm going to show you some of the best ways that I would generate appointments and how I go through this in number 13 and 14 specifically. We use what are called, if any of you guys aren't familiar with some of our, again, older business PDOCs terminology, I know a few guys on the screen definitely are, but KG stands for knowledge gaps. Knowledge gaps are simply messaging points that you can inject into the market that are kind of reaching your ideal audience, but were unexpected. Usually unexpected by you, the business owner. You guys might not even know a lot of the knowledge gaps right now. You've probably heard us talk about them. But when you go through this exercise and I show you how to run through knowledge gaps, what exactly that means, and then how it transitions into your eco scripts and your creative, it will all kind of come together and make sense. So I made sure to include that whole full-length tutorial on that. Again, it's a little lengthy, but it's probably, with my PDOCs brand, before we ever launched Audience Lab, PDOCs was my Adam and Jesse's initial company. We've had over 3,000 students and clients come through our training, specifically our back-end high-ticket program. Out of all the clients that I've pulled that came through and got great results, 80% of them will all go back to, right, our knowledge gap analysis was the difference maker in our business, especially in driving revenue and understanding the messaging and really building out everything from there. So if you guys aren't familiar with knowledge gaps, or haven't really heard us talk about them or want a better understanding, that's a really, really valuable lesson. I'm not just saying that because I'm the one teaching it. I'm saying that because of the feedback I've got and the results I've seen, and I fully know it. We have a in-depth knowledge gap board, which I go through a little in that video, of over 200 different knowledge gap sessions we've done for private clients. And again, what that is, what I mean by injecting entry points or messaging into the market, in most businesses, and again, it'll make more sense when you go through the tutorial. On average, when I go through someone's business, I find somewhere between 6 and 10 knowledge gaps in the majority of the sessions I do. Right in the middle is 8. Let's say 8 is that sweet spot. We get about 8 knowledge gaps. What does that mean? These are different messages that we inject based on where that prospect is in their journey and their sophistication level. Meaning, if I'm talking to somebody just launching their software platform that wants to start utilizing data, I'm going to be selling and speaking to them a lot different than a Fortune 500 software company that's spending, 6 figures a month on their ad campaigns or whatever. It's night and day the way I'm going to have their conversations, their problems, their pain points, the way I'm going to speak to them. If I come in and say, hey, Mr. Fortune 500 company spending $1 million a year on ads, I can build you an in-market audience. They're like, yeah, we're already doing that. Like, what are you doing different, right? But if you say that to the entry level guy, they're like, oh, in-market audience data, I didn't even know I could plug that into my ad campaigns. It's just night and day, and that would make a lot more sense. But basically, every step, along in the process that your client is in terms of established and sophisticated, as well as probably how aware they are of what you do, your product, your solution, your service, they get a little more educated. You're going to inject a different knowledge gap and speak to them a little different. So great lesson. That'll make sense. And then part of the eco, as I said, is assess and then assign. We will assign a frame and ultimately book another call. So a triage call, that I talked about earlier, is usually going to lead into a actual demo or sales call. That's why you're going to see like triage call and then book call underneath it. You might think that's weird. That means booking the actual sales call, guys. Don't think it's like, all right, I have a triage call booked. Why do I need to book a call? So that explains it. Then generally speaking, again, all of my sales process, I cover this a lot more. Number 15 on my screen, or row 15, I should say, is when we start to send out what we use in my sales process. We might call that the homework, but that could be a quick little, mine are usually about an 8 to 10 minute program overview video. I'm really laying out some of the deliverables in my program, talking about some of the features and talking about the results. And then I can get on the call with them right off the bat and be like, hey, Joe, did you go through the video I sent you? Yeah, great. So what did you think about the product and some of the results? Do you see how that could work for you? What were your thoughts? Well, Ray, I loved how you could build that intent layered data, right? And they're going to tell you what they like about your product right from the jump if they've done that right. You're going to start a sales call with somebody saying, hey, Rob, this is what I like about your product. Hey, Ray, this is what I like about your platform. And then that's a great way to start a sales call, especially if you produce that right. So we go through that a little more, whether you're doing that in a, we'll just call it a VSL, call it whatever you want. I mean, people call it different things depending on the length, but whatever. I'm just going to, basically I call it a homework assignment that I send them. And its objective is to educate them more on my product, my solution, and get them more in the buying pocket when they show up to that sales call and more educated about my solution so they're ready for me to present to them, right? Then when we get on the call, one of the tools you guys can be using, and again, go through some of my call recordings, see what I do, but you could be using the pitch deck that we provide to you, which is right in that seller resources document I've already dropped in the chat here earlier. Then we can get into contracts, payments. Obviously, this is the pretty basic kind of, administrative and accounts receivable type of stuff, but obviously it's part of business, contracts, onboarding templates. We like to use these either a welcome pack or an automated system. When somebody onboards, and maybe most of you guys saw this, like if you click purchase, it probably took you to a page that said, hey, go here, book your onboarding call. Like we want to always be taking prospects through the next steps. We don't really just want to say, oh, thanks for paying me. I'm going to send you over some stuff. Check your email in the next 48 hours. It should be there, right? Like that's not how I want the relationship to start. I want them already going into the next step of onboarding. And whether that's a quick automated process or when I close them and collect the cash, I'm actually bringing it up on my calendar and on my screen and physically booking in the onboarding call right there. The faster we get people started, they see that we're legit. They see we start to care for them. The lot less chance of buyer's remorse, chargebacks, right? And just negative connotations, however you want to say it. And then again, number 19, get paid, build some MRR into your agency, and dive into fulfillment. So good little overview. Anybody, before I dive into one or two more things real quick and a full Q&A, anyone have any questions specifically on this checklist? Probably the only question is, hey, where's the link? So
I did want to ask, maybe, and this is for everybody else too, could you talk a little faster?
I'll try next time.
Yeah, send the link. And talk slower. No, I'm just kidding.
I'll try next time.
No. You gotta just drink less coffee.
Can you do
I've
it in
never had a cup of
Mandarin?
coffee in my life.
Can you repeat it in Mandarin?
Not legit though. I've never had a cup of coffee in my life, so just think of me on coffee.
Or do you more?
Just real quick, I do have a quick question. If somebody wants a pixel demo, how would you go about that? I have everything set up on a company, but how would you do that?
A pixel demo. I mean, you could just create a video or take one of ours, kind of remake it in your own system. Oh, I think we got some background noise somewhere. Or, you can do, I mean, I never really done a demo with them per se, a little bit. I'll show them a video of exactly how they work, and I can show you one that we have, and you can recreate it if that's easier. Or I just do it on a trial basis. Hey, let me slap it on your website. Let me get it running. Let me show you what we pull after 15 days.
Right.
I
I think the trial basis thing
The other
is
way,
going to work.
I'll kick it to you one sec, Robin. You might have something better. The other way is, again, earlier when I was talking about this little resource in number 7, how I do like the data and pixel pricing. Within there, I also would maybe use the pixel calculator to kind of demo and forecast based on number of visitors, average order value, conversion rate. So there's a great resource in there so you can kind of forecast revenue that's being left on the table, which is another way that I may show the value of it. But go ahead, Rob, please.
So there's 2 ways. And Chip, the question is, do you want to do a demo, or are you looking to give them a demo, like a proof of concept? So those are 2 different things. If they want a demo, you explain what it is, right? And just I always say it's just like the Facebook pixel, except we actually give you you get to see the information of the people that are hitting the site. So rather than keeping it secret and only allowing you to use it on the Facebook platform, we do the same thing. Plus we have a much higher resolution percentage. But and then I'll actually show them, I've got a couple clients that I put the pixel on, and I got them to agree to allow me to just kind of show what it looks like. I just show them a Google sheet, right? And just flash it over to my Go High level, where I put a tag that says, whatever the client is. So, ACG super pixel, right? So that's always a tag that we know how that contact came in. If it's a proof of concept, I always just do that it's a trial. When you're installing the pixel, just click the trial button on there. I haven't seen that actually updating. You just have to remember to turn it off, especially if you're paying for the Make APIs, right? Or the Zapier APIs. Sorry, that's it. Rick, go ahead.
No, well said.
Thank
well
you.
Said.
Thank you.
That's more along the demo side. I was just telling more about showing the value. Great. So, cool. So the other couple things, again, I covered this. I uploaded into the seller resources, just showing you, go through and look over some of my calls, how I sell data and how I talk to people, if that's helpful. I included that just because I was asked over and over again by a handful of people. So that's now in there. And last thing I want to cover really quickly that I'm going to drop to you guys is, if you are taking sales calls for yourself, or you have a rep, and you don't have a full team or maybe a sales trainer or somebody to do, call audits, which are something that are really, really important. What I do in a lot of my sales teams and how I develop reps, just in their overall, and enhancing their skill set, really. So what I've created is kind of this self-audit framework. And I just wanted to share it with you guys because this is really impactful for anybody taking sales calls or that has reps taking sales calls, and they want to have their reps become a little more accountable for their own calls, right? So I just have this kind of sheet that you can, make a copy and send over to them. Obviously, they're going to put the name of the closer, name of the prospect, date of the call, outcome of call, closed deal, no show, whatever, what was the main objection, and then link to their Loom or their call recording. And then we show them how to go in after that they go through their call recording, what a rep needs to do to get really, really good. And even myself, I'm certainly guilty of this. There's a lot of things that I don't notice I do on a call until I watch myself back. Or maybe, I have the luxury of having a sales trainer or another sales pro watching my calls. But even myself as a rep, there's things I'll be like, oh, I said that, or I really did that, and I don't realize it until I watch it back. Like that's eye-opening, and a lot of reps just don't take the time to do this. So what I recommend is reps take 2 calls per week, 2 calls. What I say is where they felt like was their weakest and their strongest. Does that mean the weakest and strongest prospect? No, like I felt like this was a slam dunk closed deal, and I took this wire to wire, the best call I could have. And this one, I felt like I had a good chance of closing, and I lost it. So I feel like I did a weak job, right? So again, doesn't have to be, there's no perfect science to it. But if you can pick 2 calls per week and just go through and do this, it's basically a 3-tier system. Once you go back and go through that call, take out some of the timestamps and really grade them in 3 areas: what you believe you did well, what you could have done better, and urgent areas where you need to improve. So for instance, at 5:35, should have deeper into why he's searching for this solution. 6:35, should have made it more of a reaction to his hundreds of appointments and only 2 to 3 closed deals. Meaning, as a rep, I should have been like, man, you had hundreds of appointments and only closed 2 deals, but he probably sat back and didn't give him a reaction there, right? Tighten up my questioning. A major missed opportunity. I did a good job here. So number one, you go through and timestamp. And then the other aspect of this is take the 8 or 9 areas of your sales call framework. Again, not a script, but we should be running through the sales call in a structure. And what I like reps to get really good at first is just, did you operate in this order? Did you open the call, do an intro, build a little rapport? Did you assess their situation, right? Whatever you want to call it, discovery phase, gathering intel, whatever. Did you dig into the pain problems? Did we dive a little into the impact of that problem, professionally or personally? Did we discuss some of the solutions? Perhaps impact of the solution, consequence of inaction, temp check, and those are the real 8 things before we get to the before we get to drop price and overcoming objections. But if we can make sure as a rep, either again yourself or you have somebody, and you're just double checking yourself and make sure you're doing these 8 things, once you kind of have this down and you're doing this consistently, just becomes part of, like, I don't need to look back. I know I do this on every call. But once you do this, you can just get really good within each phase. Okay, so now I want to get better at number 2, assessing the situation. But just first, you want to get really good at doing these. So I like to go through and have my reps do a checklist of your calls. Did you actually go through and do this in this order? And now when you're doing this and you're listening it back, which one of these phases do you think you're a little weaker in or that you could improve in? And let's work on that. So very, very basic again. This will be an extra little bonus I'm just going to give to the people that attend this call. And again, anybody taking calls, has reps on their team. I think it's a great little exercise. And usually nobody really teaches a self-audit framework. Not to say they're not out there. I'm not saying this is the only one or anything by any means, but more people tell you, like, hey, hire a coach or buy my team to go do your audits. Nobody says, hey, this is how to go do it yourself, right? So I just want to share that because I thought it would be helpful. So that link is now also here in the chat in the Zoom room. And that's all I really had to cover here today. I did get all through that pretty quickly, which was nice. I do have the luxury of talking fast in case no one brought that up. But do we have any other questions or anything anybody wants me to cover? I know I stopped, throughout and just asked questions about that one document specifically, but any questions about anything to do with sales or anything I spoke about today? You can just shout them right out. Don't be shy.
Hey Ray.
No,
This is
go ahead.
Hey, I'm fairly new here. I just joined about a week ago. I was just wondering about your sales process and the templates that are provided in the course. Do you typically give the master service agreement that's provided? It has a long list of legalese. It might scare away a lot of clients, or do you just kind of omit that out for your own variation of it?
I would have to see which one you're talking about specifically. Do you have it in front of you, like screen share? No.
It's in the school, but it's like a 3-page document of just a lot of legal jargon, and that is provided for the students. And then there's a statement of work, which is a lot more simplified.
Oh,
So
yeah. I would just go with the statement of work. Yeah, I know what you're saying.
So you omit the master service agreement and sidestep that.
That's really risky, man.
Yeah, I don't know about that. I think it's there for a reason.
That master service agreement is going to protect you if somebody comes after you, dude. Like, I know it's scary looking, but in a lot of cases, because we're dealing with data, you're dealing with PII, you're dealing with all these other things, don't skip the services agreement. You can have an attorney look at it. You can, if you don't have an attorney, I'm not an attorney, so I'm not telling you to do this. Let's be very clear. Raven's recording this. You can use ChatGPT, frame that request. You're now an experienced contract attorney. Please review this document and omit anything that wouldn't cover, that wouldn't be required for me to do that. But I can tell from a conversation that I had with Adam a year and a half ago, they paid a shit ton of money for that contract. Don't mess with it, right? I mean, I know it's scary. Most people will just blast through it, sign it, and go.
Okay.
Sorry,
Yeah.
Ray, I don't mean to jump.
No, you're right. That's what I was saying. It's there for a reason, 100%. We do have different variations, though. There's more than one variation. But I agree 100% with what Rob said, 100%.
Okay, and then on that token, do you happen to have a statement of work template that we could possibly borrow or take a look at or something like that?
I believe so. Let me take a look after
That's
the
in
call.
school as well.
It should be, but I'll
Well,
also give.
that one I saw, and that one is just very bare bones minimal. So I was just looking to see if there's something a little bit more tangible and robust on the statement of work.
Well, yeah, it's like one or the other. We have a robust one and we have a bare bones minimum. We figure
Yeah.
you could add to one if you want. The other one I don't recommend subtracting from, but like Rob said, you could go that route and just see if there's anything small that could come out of there. But yeah, I think there's only the two, to be honest with you, Doug.
Okay.
I
And
will
then
take
it's
a look, but there's only two that I'm aware of off the top of my head.
Hey, Doug, I think I put one in a while back in the other school. I'll see if I can dig it up and throw it back in there as well.
Yeah, I think you shared one, Rob, that actually went to Mark, my rep, and he showed me at one point, but Lord knows where the hell that thing is now. I know of the two that you're talking about. So, Chris O'Sullivan, you had another question. Go ahead.
Yeah, mate. It's a follow-up question on Doug's one. I'm Irish and I'm hitting Irish clients, looking for data. We're GDPR. Don't want to swear in front of a lady, but close your ears, young lady.
You don't have to mind her. She's good.
Okay.
She's on our sales team. She can handle it.
Pain in the backside, and that's, Anyway, to cut a long story short, the GDPR, they keep coming up with saying, is this GDPR protected? Even though it has nothing to do with GDPR, because all the data is US based, does that document cover that question?
I don't believe so because it's not even relevant to our data.
Correct. Yeah.
So why would we cover? You know what I mean?
It does mention GDPR in there, though. I literally just went through it I use the big ass long agreement. I literally just sent it to a client.
You
Okay,
use it
so
way more than me. Rob can answer this better than me. I send documents to clients very rarely.
Okay, so, and this is the follow-up
Just been
question.
sued too many times.
I
Me?
follow-up question, right? I joined many moons ago, and I've just gone back into classroom, and my classroom is now 0 across the board.
What do you mean zero across the board? Like, does it mean you
Here's
can't
my
access
screen.
anything, or it's just saying you haven't already gone through it?
Yeah, it's gone back to 0 and absolutely everything.
But can you still access the modules?
Oh yeah, I can access all the modules.
No, I don't know.
My
if it matters
class,
that it went
my
back to
class
zero.
has never moved, has never worked. So
Yeah, I don't think that really matters
Yeah.
too much.
I
Yeah.
was at 100 points, so I knew exactly which ones were. And some of them were some have moved
Yeah,
around.
it's got to be something with
I
school.
understand.
I'll look into that, but that's nothing to do with audience lab. I think that's like a school glitch.
Yeah. Okay.
I'll see what I can find out, but yeah.
I'm pretty sure I've watched more than half of them, and mine's all at 0 too. So
Yeah, no, mine said 0 too, and I haven't been through all of them, but I've been through quite a bit of them myself. Yeah,
Okay.
it's never really phased me. I kind of know what I've watched and what I haven't. You know what I mean? But I get what you're saying. It is kind of easier if you can see, but what can you do? Softwares are softwares.
Just to ask another follow-up question again. Sorry, guys. Rob, where is that document?
I'm literally looking for it right now. But
Thank
it's
you.
you're talking about the original the big master services agreement.
The big mother one. Yeah. Sorry, Jen.
So go to the clients DaaS lab, the second one, and that's probably the one that's at 0. So there's two different school groups now. There's 2 different classrooms.
Yeah.
So go to the new one and then go to school, and it's hang on, I'll show you. Stand by. Hang on, I'm just going to open it. Raymond, can you let me share real fast?
Yeah, you have access.
Thank you. So come in here, right? So the members only one, go to classroom.
Yeah.
And then I believe it was in contracts and agreements.
Okay.
That makes sense.
Go here, master services agreement, and it's right there.
Lovely. Thank you, mate.
Yeah.
I didn't even see that. It was staring me in the face.
That's okay. If it was a snake, Jen would tell you that, you're a guy. She doesn't expect any less.
Jen's like, why do I keep
The
getting
look
thrown
on
into
Jen's
this?
face.
Why do I keep
Men
getting
can
thrown
never
into this?
find anything. Come on, Jen. You know that.
Yeah, that one she's vehemently agreeing with. Cool. All right, guys. Well, let's just wrap it up today. I don't really have anything for the last 15 minutes. We'll cut it short at 45 minutes. My time's kind of got screwed up anyway all day today.
Can I ask
Actually,
one last quick question?
yeah, go ahead, Doug.
Everybody has a different way of sales, and I was just wondering if you happen to have a no-brainer offer of like trials, free trials, guarantees, risk reversals. You know how it goes. Like everybody has their own variation, but do you find anything that you usually like to pitch as like your no-brainer offer after you're done doing your entire sales pitch?
Yeah, everything that's not one of what you just said.
Yeah.
No guarantees, no free trials. I just want to provide value and show results. No, I don't really use quick sales. I don't really use that fake urgency or join now for 40% off. You guys that all that bought from us, how many of you guys got on the call and my rep said, hey, we'll give you a discount if you buy now? I mean, maybe if you bought a long-term membership and you signed a long agreement, we have certain discounts, but it's not something we do. It's not something I've ever done in my offers. I can't say ever, but especially with what's happened in the last freaking 2.5 years since $100 million offers came out, since everything's evolved and everybody has this guarantee or you don't pay, that's when the whole market got sour on those. I think they bring more skepticism and apprehension now than somebody that just says this is the price. I think people would rather just be shot straight, and that's my sales style.
Great. Okay.
And say proof of concept, not demo, not trial, not anything else. It's just proof of concept. I just did it with a client and it worked. To that end, the post that we were talking about, it was actually a proof of concept agreement. So whoever that was that was talking about trials or proof of concept, I just downloaded it again because I don't know where in the hell I had it. So I think I can throw it in chat here. So that
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Have it.
And proof of concept is one thing I've certainly, so Doug, I don't know, I know you're newer into here and you maybe just got some resources. When you go through my sales process video and how I recommend selling, that is one of the options. The proof of concept option is something I'll do. It's something I'll do when I think it's a no-brainer that I know this client is going to get results. They have the right order value, the right amount of traffic, the right conversions. Like it's a no-brainer. And I'm going to do a proof of concept, just slap the pixel on there for 30 days and show them what I get back. And then we talk price after the 30 days or whatever. I don't like to go that long. I usually do my proof of concept agreements for about 15 days before I go back and start to negotiate compensation. But I do cover all that in a little more depth in that video where I talk about building out the sales process.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
But that's like my one thing with data. Yes, I'll use that, but I still don't think it's kind of like what you were saying, kind of like a gimmick of your money back or guarantee. It's more just like, hey, I want to show you it works, and I want to show you because I know it's going to be a win-win. I don't lay out proof of concept offers or campaigns where I'm like, and this guy might have enough traffic or he might be spending enough ad spend. Like I got to know it's going to be a home run if I'm going to do a proof of concept campaign, generally speaking.
Right. Makes sense.
What I do, Joe, is quite simple. I just tell them, how many data points do you get with Apollo? How many data points do you get with Zoom Info? And they will just say, and how many data points do you get with LinkedIn Sales Navigator? It's 10. Sorry, in order of that, Zoom, all them work-offs take all the information from Sales Navigator, so they provide 10. They match it up with the other data points, and it comes to a total of 20 from Apollo, 22 from Apollo, 20 from Zoom Info, and 10 from Sales Navigator. We're providing 76 up to 76 data points plus, isn't it?
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, can be.
Blow your mind. And then you want this for free? Ha! Sorry.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. That was the best part of the whole speech there.
Sorry.
Awesome.
A bit loud.
No, thanks for your opinion, Chris, and thank you, Rob, for your expertise in chiming in and adding into the workshop here today. Appreciate you, man.
Yep, and I'm going to throw the proof of concept into the members only school right now. Ray, if you want, have your attorneys look at it. If you want to throw it in the classroom on that document, knock yourself out.
Yeah, I'll give it over to my legal just to make sure. I don't go through any of that stuff. We have a legal team that they'll check over everything before we approve it. Awesome. Appreciate it, Rob. All right, guys, we will see you next week for the next DaaS Sales Workshop. We'll be back to 3 p.m. Eastern next week, and you'll get the right notifications. School has it all straightened out next week. Excellent. Everybody got those documents I posted in the links, right? Everybody that needed them. Awesome. Okay, guys. Enjoy. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye, guys.